Good evening, folks. Triple Crown here, coming to you from Vancouver, British Columbia. This is a Round 10 summary, Operation SF, San Francisco. Yes, let's talk about what happened. It's a battle of attrition. Can Japan hold on in the Pacific? And can the Germans and the Italians help out in the Pacific? Or at least put enough pressure on the Allies to make them turn around? Things are not looking great for the Japanese. CB's Bill commented, Japan has 5 rounds to hold on as they try to reinforce the Philippines, Tokyo, Hong Kong, and Shanghai. Well, currently, let's take a closer look. The Philippines has about 10 ground units and 5 aircraft. So, the Allies, that's not going to be an easy nut to crack for the Allies. And if they do, are they going to be able to, after, doing whatever it is they want to do as their first objective, tackle a second objective, which could either be Shanghai or Hong Kong? Well, Hong Kong looks very secure. There's about at least over 20 ground units there right now. And by the time the Americans get across, I anticipate more. Both of the Philippines and Hong Kong both have military bases, so they are producing 1 infantry a turn, in addition to whatever the Japanese can bring across with their naval transports. Maybe one territory that looks like it could be under threat currently, besides Shanghai, is about 35 KMT units. So does Japan use all of its naval transports and go smack that and take it out? Or do they wait for the KMT to come to them first? Because most of those infantry that will be attacking, or ground units that will be infantry attacking at a 2, whereas the Japanese will be defending at a 5 on original Japanese territory. So not sure what to do there. And currently over here in Hawaii, the Japanese still control. There is about 15 ground units there. So the Americans do have 5 naval transports and a bunch of aircraft. And the American Navy now is actually on par with the Japanese Navy. There are 4 sea zones away from each other, so we're going to see what are the Japanese going to do to try and best defend the homeland. And the Commonwealth fleet currently is almost on par with the Japanese Navy, so the Japanese Navy now is in a little bit of trouble. What are they going to do? Over here in Asia, the Russians have liberated the KMT. So the KMT are back in the fight. Sorry, not the KMT, the CCP are back in the fight. Next turn, I would anticipate this territory being liberated and the KMT sort of creeping along. The Russians don't have a lot of teeth, but they are, still alive. They're making 13 IPP a turn. So how are the European Axis going to assist? Well, this is currently what's sitting in Cairo, which should fall next turn. There's currently about 15 units there, and this other Italian, what do you call this, build chart, I'm using it as a task force marker, has a horde of Italians there, quite a few Germans, about 8 or 9 Germans, but the German contingent of the German forces. Let's zoom in on this. So this is what's currently sitting just east of Cairo in Transjordan, and that is another 12 or 13 German ground units, and the whole, not the entire Luftwaffe, but enough of a Luftwaffe. There is 5 medium bombers, 6 tactical bombers, and a fighter. So that is massive. Actually, there's 7 tactical bombers and 2 fighters and 5 medium bombers. I mean, it's just massive. So Cairo is going to fall next turn. The Italian Navy is all sitting here in Sea Zone 47. So it's going to eventually come through in the Med. So my thought process is once Cairo is under Axis control, the Germans and the Italians are going to start pushing towards Calcutta and start pushing towards Singapore via Navy. And currently the British fleet here is sitting just off of Madras, and so it's going to have to at least run a blocking force for the Italians so they can't get through with their Navy. And the Italians are starting to build more Navy. They built an aircraft carrier next turn, or last turn, so that's happening there. The Germans continue to just build and build armor and fast movers just headed through the Caucasus and down into the Middle East. And the FEC has put up a very good defense here. There is at least 15 armor and a pretty good size Air Force. The entire Air Force out of Cairo has vacated now over to, is it Bombay? And so I don't know if the Axis, at least right now for a couple turns, are going to have enough to make a serious threat towards Calcutta. However, they seem to be building ground units, at least 12 a turn, 12 fast movers a turn are headed this direction. And currently over in Calcutta, they're only able to produce 7 units a turn at their 3 military bases, minor industrial complex, and whatever the British can build there. And the Italians and the Germans also now have military bases in the Middle East. So they are going to be producing more units and more units. And just wanted to point out here, there's a couple armor trains there, the German armor trains. That's how they were able to quickly move infantry to the front. So that is a big help for them to at least get as many ground units to the front lines as possible. And a big standoff here happening in the Atlantic between the German Navy and the Allied Navy sitting off of Washington. Not a lot happening, a little bit of seesaw or ping pong happening at the convoy zone boxes. But nobody really wants to attack anybody yet. A couple American transports sitting at a naval base here off of Argentina. So what are they going to do? They can load a couple armor. So do these units head across over here to drop off in South Africa? Or do they head into the Pacific and try and reinforce at least over here to New Zealand or Sydney? So it'll be interesting which direction they go. Otherwise, folks, it's going to be a battle of attrition to see what the Allies can do in the Pacific. So stay tuned for round 11.